script bug is lifted.
Chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4 on all platforms: PC, Mac, Switch, PS4, and PS5. I did totally read winding down as wingding down, but it's good that it's winding down. It seems like they have finished looking for new bugs and glitches and are now solely focusing on fixing the ones that they have already found, which sounds promising. This likely means at this current time that they have caught all the major game-breaking bugs and glitches and are just working on getting them all stamped out. Of course, that's for the PC version in particular, which is the version that all the other ports are built off of. So that would probably have to be at least nearly complete before the other ports can be made and tested. He did say that the console testing starts tomorrow. This was posted on the 3rd of February, so as of recording on the 6th, they should have been console testing for around 3 days. As of you watching this, which should be on the 10th, they should have been console testing for around a week. Toby also says PlayStation makes it a requirement to have trophies, achievements, so those will be one of the things that will have to be tested. I don't think they're going to like testing the trophies though. When Undertale was released on PlayStation and Xbox, trophies were reluctantly included, since they were seemingly a requirement from the companies. I just realized that Toby never actually mentioned Xbox in either of his tweets here. In his first post, he only mentions PC, Mac, Switch, PS4, and PS5. And then in his second post, he only mentions PlayStation, which could imply that Deltarune just won't be getting an Xbox version at all. Chapter 1 and 2 aren't on Xbox as of right now. The only one of Toby's games that is Undertale. That was the last of the consoles to receive an Undertale port. So it's quite interesting to me that out of all the consoles, Xbox is the one that's getting kind of excluded. Maybe there's less fans of Deltarune and Undertale that use Xbox, so that maybe they see it as less of a priority. I don't know the exact reason, but I thought it was interesting enough to note. The achievements were quite funny and fairly easy to get, and clearly the names of them are a tongue-in-cheek reference to the fact that Toby probably didn't really want to add these. Toby probably wanted the game to speak for itself rather than having this arbitrary list of just random activities to do. So far, Deltarune has been free on all platforms, so achievements haven't been a requirement as of right now. But I imagine the achievements getting added here will be for all of the chapters, not just 3 and 4, so we might get some achievements in chapter 1 and 2, or they might just be universal across all the chapters. I imagine they're probably going to be similarly simple to the ones for Undertale, probably just having some ones for reaching certain areas. Toby probably wants to keep them basic so the players on the Switch and PC won't miss out on content. He does say, though, I don't think they're going to like testing the trophies, though, so maybe there are some tricky or just annoying ones in there. Hugging Ralsei 500 times, I could see that being a thing. Overall, this stuff that Toby has shared sounds pretty good to me. It's clear that they are still continuing with development, and it is seemingly coming to a close as they're on to the console testing now. In my previous Deltarune update video, I didn't really have a good gauge as to how long console porting and testing usually takes, but since that video, someone on Twitter sent me this video from Johnny Ostad, which gave me a good reference on how long console porting and testing usually takes. This video comes from an indie developer who who has ported 4 games to consoles, so it's someone who knows what they're talking about. To summarize the video, they say, in order to port a game, you must first register with the various companies, so Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony. After doing that, you would then receive a development kit after signing an NDA. This dev kit allows developers to test their games on the console hardware. The porting process itself then starts, which consists of fixing the input, which is apparently quite easy as the dev kits account for this with the specific console controllers and their layouts, implementing saving and loading features, which is usually different for each console you're building for, and he says that this could take between 1 to 7 days to get fully working. Then implementing any console-specific features such as achievements and leaderboard compatibility, and he said that this could also take between 1 and 7 days to get working. Then comes optimizing. He says if your game is 2D or fairly small scale, then you probably don't have to worry about optimizing too much. It's more for big scale 3D games that require a lot more resources of whatever console you're playing on. Then comes playtesting, which he says is the most time-consuming part of the porting process. After you're done porting, the game then needs certification from each console company, and each company will have their own stipulations. For example, making sure the loading screens aren't overly long, or just making sure the game uses the correct terminology for the console you're playing on. Then finally, the store pages would need creating on each console, which usually consists of sending in the various screenshots and trailers prepared for each console. These screenshots and trailers might be different depending on the console, as you might have different button prompts within the images, and also sending in all the technical specifications and a block of text for the description on the store page. Overall, in the video, they said they estimate it takes between 2 to 4 weeks to fully port a game to a given console, but it could be shorter if you have experience with doing that. Toby and his team would have experience with that as they ported Undertale as well as Deltarune Chapter 1 and 2 to all platforms already. So to port a game to all of the big 3 console manufacturers, Nintendo, Sony and Microsoft, it might take around 3 months for all of them. I just gave a bit of a summary of the video there, but if you want a more in-depth look, definitely go and watch it. It'll be linked down below in the description. It's quite an interesting video. Applying this information to Deltarune, some of the things this video lists have already been done. I imagine Toby has definitely already registered with the companies. That likely happened back when they were making Undertale and needed to port that, and he was probably sent dev kits for all the consoles that existed at the time at that point. The only consoles that wouldn't have existed then is the PS5 and the Xbox Series consoles, and I guess the Switch too, but that's not actually out at the time of making this video. The majority of the steps in the porting process seem to have been done for Deltarune 2. The implementation of each console's input method is seemingly pretty easy, so that probably wouldn't take long to get working. And they've also done that before for the previous chapters of Deltarune, so it's probably quite a painless thing to implement. They've done the implementation of the saving and loading system as well in previous chapters, although that system might take a little bit more work as Deltarune does have quite a complex saving system with having multiple chapters and multiple routes that you can go down. Toby told us about PlayStation's requirement for trophies, so it seems like those have already been implemented to that version of the game, or at least been designed, and just need to be professionally tested by the console testing team. Deltarune probably doesn't need that much optimization for consoles, as it's a 2D game, which isn't that graphically intensive, and it seems quite optimized under the hood anyway. And I think it would be even more optimized now, since Toby has brought in more programmers that are likely better at programming than he is to handle the more technical sides of things. So it's probably gonna be more optimized now, especially with that new game_change command that they've implemented in order to separate each chapter out to make the game run better and load faster. And Toby has just told us that the console playtesting has started, meaning that likely most, if not all, of the actual porting work has been done. Of course, there could be bugs and glitches that get reported from the testing that they then would have to go back and fix, but that's why they do the testing, so they can fix those bugs and glitches before they send off the final finished versions to the console manufacturers. So then the only other things that would need doing is the certification, which they are seemingly quite prepared for, with like implementing the PlayStation trophies, for example, and the store pages, as well as taking screenshots and creating trailers for those store pages. And for reference, back in the summer 2024 newsletter, Toby gave us a timeline of the things that need to be done before these chapters can release. Here it is. It seems, though, that this timeline is a little bit less linear than it was presented here, as they've been doing the bug testing at the same time as the console porting and console testing, as well as doing the Japanese localization at the same time as some of the PC testing. As of right now, though, most of the stuff on this list seems to be done. The new function testing, which was the LTS demos with the game_change command and some other miscellaneous features, has concluded. The Chapter 4 English PC version is completely done. The Japanese version of Chapter 4 is seemingly done, or at least very close to being done, as it seems to be winding down, as they've moved on to the professional testing for Chapter 4. The console porting seems to be done, or at least very close to completion, as they're moving on to the testing phase, which, as we went through earlier, is the last phase of the porting process, and general bug testing has been happening for a while. So, in conclusion, in general, all that needs to be done in order for Chapter 3 and 4 of Deltarune to release is finishing off the last little bits of the PC testing and Japanese translation, which by the time you're watching this could be entirely done, and then finish off the console testing, which perhaps could take around 2-ish weeks, as that is the longest part of the porting process. After the console testing has concluded, all they need to do is send off the console versions to the companies, who then would check through them. Fingers crossed, if there's no major glaring issues, they can be put on the console straight away. All that would need to be done after that is creating the store pages for the paid version of Deltarune, which I assume would probably be separate to the existing one for Chapter 1 and 2 demo. And then with that would come all the trailer creation and then actually marketing the game. But that's it. I had a quite optimistic prediction of February for the release in my previous video, but I think it's more likely March with this information that Toby has given us. I know, right? I'm always, wrong with my predictions. But it seriously seems like now we are encroaching on the end, and I'm so glad that Toby is consistently updating us like this. It's a very nice thing of Toby to do to keep us informed like this. But overall, though, I am just so excited for Deltarune every single day. Every video I make, it seems like we're just encroaching slowly but surely on this game coming out. And in the time from me writing the notes for this video, recording this video, and then you watching this, more work on the game will have been done. I'm so hyped, man. I can't wait. If you want to help support me and the channel here, I have a Ko-Fi that you can donate on, or for more consistent support with some extra perks, you can become a member here on YouTube or subscribe on Patreon. Anything you can support would really help, but don't worry if you can't. A like and subscribe on the video would also help greatly. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in whatever the next video